Fantastic. Welcome, everyone. Good morning to how to raise your prices without losing business. Uh, just a quick comment up front. The title is very, very similar to the last session that we ran. So apologies for the confusion there. But really, the focus of this session is to actually talk about how we can raise prices for existing clients. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to make sure we prep them so that when we actually do announce the price rise, that it's not a rude shock, and they're going to be much more receptive to it, and ultimately you're not going to lose as many clients. But let me see if this sounds familiar to you. Uh, we've got all of the doom and gloom from the media. Inflation is up, interest rates are up. There's a lot of pressure on businesses to increase their prices, but you haven't done so for many, many years, and you probably have a pang of guilt for doing so. For industries like the mortgage broking businesses, even tougher because you already have massive delayed gratification for the commissions and all of the new rules around that. So a lot of mortgage brokers are talking about charging an upfront fee, but it's terribly difficult because people are just so used to not paying anything for their services, which is a real shame because they're providing a lot of their time, their expertise. So, in terms of what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover how to plan your pricing structure strategically. We'll talk about how to ensure that your clients are happy before you give them the news. And we'll also talk about communicating the price rise tactfully. So, wordcraft is one of my specialties. I'm a natural introvert with a people pleasing side of me. So, if I know I've upset someone, I will do anything that I can to prevent that from happening and to make things better. But yeah, I will actually lose sleep if I know I've upset people. So, before we go into the new stuff, let's recap some of the core concepts, especially for those of you who haven't been to my other sessions. So, we talked about how we earn money on the most basic principle. How does this work? The key principle is that we need to be valuable to other people. We need to provide a service or a product that they find helpful, valuable, and they need what we provide. And if you want to earn more, it's very, very simple. You just be more valuable to more people. So that's why people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk are super wealthy because they are very valuable to a lot of people. And so that's how they become mega rich. You want to become mega rich, you got to find ways to serve more people. Then we talked about the law of value. So a sale only occurs when the value that you provide far exceeds the price that you are charging. So what this means is, let's just say you have a business coach who charges $5,000, but they help you to earn $10,000 more, and they prevent you from losing $10,000 from making costly mistakes. You've got a net gain, so to speak, of $20,000 on that $5,000 investment. So it's a wonderful and very strange situation that we can provide people more value than what they pay us. Sometimes it's tangible in terms of return on investment. Sometimes it's intangible. So for Keith, who does videography, most of the time it's going to be the intangible, the things that how the client feels about the video products that you're giving them. And it's also about how the viewers, their customers, when they're watching the video, how they feel about it. So the value can be felt or it can be real or a combination of both. Finally, money is a lot like blood. It's only really good when it's circulating through the system. We spend money, we earn money, it flows. And where money flows, the economy grows. This is one of the key reasons that Australia is such a great place to live, because we're constantly pumping that wonderful money around. Businesses are like the heart of the system that pumps it through. So with this healthy mindset around money, let's now talk about why it's important for us to increase our prices and how to do it in a strategic way. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is to make ourselves aware of a psychological concept called anchoring. So anchoring is basically the reference point that people use to compare subsequent offers. So going back to the mortgage broking example, everybody's not charging an upfront fee. And for that reason, if you want to introduce a fee, everybody's anchored to paying nothing. Same thing with travel advice. So Darren, being in that industry, yes, you can charge a fee for what you do, but it's going to be a bit of an uphill fight in order to justify why they need to pay that when they can go to someone else who will not charge anything. So this is a very important concept to be aware of when it comes to existing clients and increasing their prices. But let's think this through a little bit first. Let's calculate the cost. Let's just say you have 20 clients, each paying $5,000, and that results in $100,000 annual revenue. You increase your price by 20%, and this causes 2 clients to leave. So what you then have is 18 clients at $6,000, which represents $108,000. So you have a net gain in spite of losing some of the clients. Now, it doesn't always work out perfectly this way. This is a hypothetical scenario. But what I have seen from anecdotally is that around 20% increase, people are not so worried about that. It's not going to make a big difference in terms of their perceived value of your business. But that's provided that you have been providing a good service in the first place. If they're not happy with your work, then even a 10% increase would seem like too much. So that's why we're going to talk about how to make sure that they're happy afterwards. Now, there's a special note here. If what you're providing is not just a service, so service-based companies typically keep almost everything that they charge, right? But when you're selling a product, then you have margins. And if your margin is 30% or 20%, then these calculations are impacted even more. So the 20% increase in price would represent massive returns for the business, and you'd have to lose a lot of clients in order to break even on that price increase. But here's the thing. This is going to sound really funny, but there are benefits to losing clients. And one of the top benefits is that you cull the price sensitive ones who don't particularly care about the value of what you provide. Usually these are bargain hunters. They expect the most for the least investment. They're the ones who ask for discount and are very demanding clients. The other reason is that it focuses you and the clients on the value that you provide. So if you're reverting back to the value equation, that the value you provide far exceeds the price that you are charging, then you're going to keep coming back to this every time you have a price discussion with your clients. And if you're continuously providing that extraordinary value, it's almost going to be a non-issue. And the other benefit is that you can then serve fewer clients better, because you can spend more time, you can allocate more resources to the fewer clients who actually care about the quality of your work. Okay, so now this being said, there are many factors that we need to consider before we decide on an increase. The average inflation rate is roughly 4% per annum. I don't know what the figure is for the last 12 months. The online statistics are not up to date yet, but we know it's quite high. So look at it this way. If you are not increasing your prices by around 4 to 5% each year, what that means is you are taking a pay cut every year. And presumably you're getting better at what you're doing because you've had another year of experience doing what you do. So theoretically, you should be charging more just because you are improving. You're improving the service, you're improving the business, you're improving your skills. So if you're not charging at least more than around 5% per year, you're getting a pay cut every year. The other factor to consider is the level of happiness and the value that they're getting from your service, the relationship that you have with your clients. I once heard about this company that won some business because they were literally in bed with with a provider. So there was a marriage involved. But if you just have a good relationship with your clients, they're going to be much more resistant to leaving you because they want to protect the relationship, in addition to all of the other logical reasons they have. The other thing to consider is the alternative options. So if there are competitors who are charging less or charging nothing, in the case of travel agencies and mortgage broking, then that is a factor you need to consider and strategize against. And again, the anchoring effect, around 20%, at maximum 30% is tolerable for existing clients. It is possible to do more than that, but you just have to do a lot more work in terms of helping them to understand, to re-anchor them, if that even is possible. And once again, the incumbent is on you to establish the value that you're providing. All right, so from the action steps, from what we've talked about, just have a think about what price increase would be reasonable for your clients and what impact it would make on your profit. So do the calculations, do the math. And just as a special note here, you can have different pricing structures for different clients. So I have spoken to some people who say, oh, well, I've got this one family that I have an emotional connection with. I want to, increase it, but not that much for them. That's completely fine. It's totally up to you how you want to run your business. If you want to have, quote unquote charitable cases, that is possible. There are some drawbacks to that as well in terms of perceived value as well. So it is possible. All right, next phase. We need to ensure that our clients are happy. Happiness can be reduced to an equation. I like to put things into math. Happiness is a function of our perception versus our expectations. So if you want to be happier, lower your expectations. Or in the client's cases, you set realistic expectations. Make realistic promises and make sure that you actually help them to understand why you are setting your standards where they are. One of the things in the digital marketing industry or even in the sales coaching industry is that in order to secure the business, they'll make big promises. They'll say, we'll get you $100,000 in 3 months or whatever. We promise that we're going to do this or that. And then they fail to deliver. But the sad thing in these cases is that the client has already signed on and then they get burned. So we need to actually be very careful not to overpromise, but at the same time to explain the reasons why we are promising what we are. So that way we're managing the expectations realistically while still maximizing our chances of winning the business. Now here's a really interesting one. Deliver what you promise, not over or under. So the traditional phrase is under promise and over deliver. That might be fine sometimes, but if you do it on a consistent basis, what your clients will come to realize is that this person always under promises and supposedly over delivers. They get used to it, right? They come to expect it. It no longer has its impact. If you want to increase perceived value, here's the key thing. You need to schedule regular appointments, regular touch points, whatever frequency they like, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly or quarterly. Make sure that you have regular touch points with your clients. And even this might even apply when they're not doing business with you. But what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to just say, hey, how's it going? How are the kids? How are you enjoying the holidays? No, we have to be relational, but we need a commercial agenda as well. So what you need to do is to track and communicate your results. Give them the feedback. So let's just take a cleaning business, for example. A cleaning business may do a fantastic job at cleaning. But if they don't actually show the client what they've cleaned and how dirty it was before and how clean it is after, the client may have no perception about what work has actually occurred. So tracking and communicating the results of your work is very, very important to increase the perceived value. Then you ask for feedback to make sure that they're completely happy. And while you're at it, continuously provide education so you become that trusted advisor to them. Now, there are many things that contribute to the perceived value of service. A lot of people say we provide good service. What does that exactly mean? So here are a few points. It's not a comprehensive list. Firstly, you need to show you care. That's the underpinning point. How do you show you care? Be responsive. Respond quickly to emails and phone calls. Have very clear and articulate communication. Be friendly, smile. I make a point to smile all the time, and guess what? There's a good neural feedback loop. The more you smile, the happier you feel. And the happier you feel, the more you want to smile. It's a really good cycle. It's a positive cycle. Attention to detail is another really great one. Opening doors for people is still considered chivalrous, in my opinion. Pulling out the chair for them to sit down, noticing things of, oh, I see you've done your hair differently today. Attention to detail shows that you care. And finally, surprise them. So remember, perception and expectation. If they're not expecting something and you give them something good, then they will be surprised. They'll love you for a long time. Have you ever been to a restaurant where you told them, hey, the order is wrong? Then they come back to you. Not only do they fix up the order, but they give you a free dessert or they give you something for free. You're pleasantly surprised. All of a sudden, you've forgotten about the problem, and you're so happy. You tell all your friends about that restaurant. So same thing with service or any other business. If you surprise your clients, they're going to be very happy. All right. So your homework is have a think about how you can increase your perceived value and how you can better manage client expectations. A few words of wisdom here. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Before you go announcing your price increase, make sure you're continuously investing in that relationship. Okay, finally, how to communicate the price rises tactfully. Here's the tone of the communication, right? It needs to be personal. Don't make it feel like you're talking about yourself and you're addressing the masses, right? Try to add a little bit of elements in it that shows that you have the personal relationship. Focus on their perspective. Always translate everything into what this means for you. You'll hear me saying this a lot. What this means for you, what this means for you. The price, here's the new prices, what this means for you is, etc. Be transparent and authentic. Be succinct, to the point. Take the time to cut down the email. Don't send a massive email. You want to sound like you're reluctant to increase the prices, but not apologetic. Please don't say sorry for increasing the prices, because that comes across very, very badly, and it's going to lose a lot of respect if you are. Here's the suggested structure. So personalized introduction. So a little note about something that you have in relation to them. Recap the value that you provided. Explain the situation and the reasoning behind the price increases. But finally, offer to negotiate. So you may have a phrase at the end that says, if you're experiencing financial hardship, please let me know so that we can make some sort of arrangement. Because what you're saying here is that you're open to negotiating. You're also open to helping them out if they're in a tight spot. But for those where they feel like, oh, the business has actually been doing quite well. Yes, I can afford it. But thank you for the offer to negotiate. Another thing about phrasing is you have to be very careful with word choices. Now, if you just straight up say we are increasing our prices by 10%, that may not come across very well. An alternative is just to simply state what the new prices are. So avoid saying the word increase in the first place, right? So we have reviewed our prices. Our new price is 1,100 instead of 1,000. Unfortunately, we have to increase the prices, right? So that's coming across as very apologetic. We have reviewed our prices. It's very objective, and you're just stating facts. So it's quite a lot of skill that goes into writing these. All right. So the action step from here is to either write an email for clients to inform them of the increase. I would only suggest this if you have a lot of clients that you need to communicate with. If you have a small portfolio, then just schedule a call with them so that you can deliver the news in person, or book a catch up and have a sit down, have a coffee. If you need further help from what we've talked about today, I'm offering a 30-minute chat, so feel free to click the link that will be sent through afterwards. Also, if you enjoyed today's content, feel free to leave a review for me on Google. Okay, let's do a quick recap. We learned how to plan the prices strategically according to the principle of anchoring, as well as the factors to consider. We need to make sure that our clients are happy with the service and they're completely satisfied. They're focused on the value, and then to actually share the news with them in a very authentic but very sensitive way as well. I'd like to end with this: that the best way to help the poor is not to become one of them. So don't be a martyr. Don't try to hold off charging because you feel sorry for other people. You need to, the more you prosper, the more everybody prospers. So make sure that you're charging what you're worth.